Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and today we are finally reviewing the Jackson the Jackenbacker. Let's do this. This is the Jackson CBXNT DX4, also known as the Jackenbacker, because of its Rickenbacker 4003-esque styling here. This is actually quite a nice bass. Just off the bat, when I unboxed this, it had an atrocious setup, and the ones that I played at Guitar Center probably weren't set up too well either. However, with a nice setup and a good set of strings, we're using the Stay in Tune SIT Foundation 45 to 105 nickel-plated stainless steel strings. Hey, baby. And this bass sounds really nice, especially for rock. In regards to specs, we have a poplar body and a maple neck with a neck-through construction. The fingerboard is Laurel, and it is a 24-fret, 34-inch scale. The nut width is around 41 millimeters. The website says 41.3, however, I found it to be just a smidge skinnier than that. The finish on this bass is a black gloss. However, it's nowhere near as thick of a gloss as you get from a Rickenbacker 4003 in a jet glow. It still is a nice looking finish, however, and is a high quality gloss. You may have also noticed the white binding around the body, neck, and headstock, and this is actually just painted on. However, at first glance, you really can't tell, and only under a scrutinous look do you really see that this was painted on due to just some imperfections here and there. You also get these shark fin inlays, just like the Rickenbacker 4003. Moving up to the headstock, though, you can see that this is nothing like a Rickenbacker. This is a traditional Jackson pointy headstock. I think that the newer Jackson-style headstock, the 2+2 headstock that's found on the likes of the Spectra, may have been a little more attractive. However, I don't think this looks terrible overall. It's really grown on me quite a bit, and I know I was kind of harsh during the original unboxing because it was not a good first impression. To be honest, again, the setup was not good, and the strings weren't great either. However, I am really digging this bass now. I feel weird saying it, but yeah, it's not bad. Now for hardware, we have a proprietary Jackson Rickenbacker style bridge. This is a nice high mass bridge, and it has a large contact area on the body to improve sustain. We have a typical Fender 5-screw attachment here, so you could swap this out with an aftermarket bridge. However, I really don't see the need to. This is a solid bridge. For electronics, we have Jackson P and J pickups. This is a split P and a single coil J. This is not hum canceling. I do wish it was a hum canceling J. At the $700 price point, you could kind of go either way, as a lot of basses at that price point are cutting corners at one spot or another. That being said, it's not the worst thing on the planet, and the hum is not unbearable. For the preamp, we have a 3-band preamp that is also surprisingly very good. It works very well. You can crank the treble without being too harsh. You can get some nice fat tones by boosting the bass, and a mid-boost or a mid-cut can yield some interesting results as well. We're going to go through all the different tones that this bass can offer when we start playing it. But first, let's go ahead and turn the Jackson around. Around back, we see a whole lot of nothing. We see a battery compartment, and that's it. The gloss black paint is all over the neck and all over the body. You can't see any visible lines from the neck-through construction. This is well constructed. There's not really much else to say. Up at the headstock, we have Jackson 3/8-inch closed-case tuners, and these are actually surprisingly good as well. They're not wobbly or jiggly in any way, and they hold their tune nicely. Now, how much does the Jackson CBXNT DX4 weigh? This bass comes in at a hair under 9 pounds. It's around 8.6, 8.8 pounds. Very lightweight overall for a 4-string bass, especially a neck through. I would attribute that to the poplar body, which is generally a lighter weight wood. And what is the price of the Jackson here? This is coming in at $699. It was on sale during the holidays at Guitar Center for around $549, around $150 off. And I expect it to be on sale again in the future. That being said, at that price, it is actually a really nice bass and a really nice value. And at the normal $700 price tag, I would say that this is pretty nice as well. But enough talking about the bass, let's go ahead and play it. You guys know what you need to do. Go ahead and pinch that like button so my hand will turn back to normal. Thanks. Listen to that. That is really good sounding. I know I've made fun of the aesthetics of this bass. Many people on the internet have made fun of the look of this bass, but one thing you cannot say is that this bass sounds bad, because it does not. In its stock form, it sounds really nice for a rock setting. Very aggressive and growly, and if you play with a very percussive right hand, you can get some real snarl out of it. Oh yeah, this is nice. Now the fingerboard does have a compound radius. This is a 12 to 16 inch compound radius where it flattens out the farther down the neck you get towards the 24th fret. Up at the nut, it is a 12-inch radius, which is still pretty flat relative to something you'd find in a Fender or Fender-like instrument. Those are normally 7.5 to 9.5 inch radius, so a 12 to 16 is quite flat, and you notice it for sure. Now, I mentioned this bass is very flexible. You have a ton of different tones to unpack here. Let's start off by panning over to the neck pickup, the split P. This does not sound like your traditional P. Let me show you. Yeah, very aggressive sounding P pickup over here at the neck position. Now this bass is also the predecessor to the Jackson CBXNT 4. This is the NT4 Deluxe with all the Rickenbacker accoutrement. However, the regular one did not have this bridge, and the P pickup was actually located a bit closer to the J pickup, yielding a completely different tone. This is its own bass for sure, and this neck pickup sounds quite nice. Now let's play with this EQ a little bit. First thing I'm going to do, crank the treble. We're going to leave the mids and the bass centered. Here's what it gets you. Yeah, you can really crank the treble on this bass and get some clank, just some real clank. It sounds very nice with a pick too in this setting. Here's just a little plastic pick. Now let's take the treble back down to center and scoop the mids. We're going to bring the mids down to a full cut, leaving the bass and the treble centered. So with the mids at full cut, you can almost get a traditional P-bass sound out of this. Let's see what happens when we boost the bass to about 50% now, leaving the treble center and the mid at full cut. Very nice, very nice. You have to play with a softer touch to avoid the clank, but you can really get some different precision type tones out of this. With the mids back at center and the bass down to center and the treble all the way cranked, you almost get like a Rickenbacker-ish tone. Not so much like a stock Rick tone, but what people want a Rick to be when they think of Chris Squire and Geddy Lee and that sort. All the clank, you can get that here, just a fat clanky tone. I like this. I like this a lot. I never thought I'd say that. I mean, I made fun of this bass since, it was first announced, and I think a lot of other people did too, but I am eating my words now because this is quite nice. Next, I'm going to take the treble down to full cut and the mids down to full cut and the bass to a 50% boost once more. Let's see how fat we can make this P pickup. Very interesting. Now let's do the opposite. Take the bass down all the way and let's crank the mids and crank the treble. You can really take this in all sorts of directions. Now let's go over to the single coil jazz pickup. That is the volume knob. Single coil jazz pickup over here. So we are going to get a little bit of single coil hum because it is a single coil pickup. In a noisy electrical environment, either with a lot of lights or electronics or anything, you are going to get some noise from a pickup like this. I do wish it was a hum canceling pickup. However, at the $700 price point, again, it can really go either way given a lot of manufacturers are trying to cut costs to make a really good product in some regards, but maybe lacking in other regards, but in places where you can upgrade. I feel like this is one of those basses. However, the stock electronics sound really nice. And the stock hardware isn't too shabby either, so pretty nice bass out of the box, honestly. Enough talking, let's play this jazz bass pickup with the preamp centered. Again, a very aggressive sounding pickup. These pickups are very mid-heavy. When we cut the mids, we get a much more traditional sounding pickup, just like we did with the P. Here's what this bridge pickup sounds like, this jazz pickup sounds like with the mids cut and the bass and treble centered. Very nice, very nice. I'm not going to spend too much time on this J pickup. It's a traditional J. It's nothing really too special. But let's crank the treble, crank the mids, and cut the bass. It's a bit loud. let's not do that. Let's do the opposite now. We're going to cut the mids, cut the treble, and boost the bass to about 50%. That was very nice. That was a nice tone. That was just with the bass boosted, the treble and the mids at full cut. This is a nice preamp because it's not overly aggressive and allows you to shape the tone without making it either too boomy or too harsh and tinny. Very nice. I'm surprised for this being essentially a Fender product. Not bad. Now let's go over to probably my favorite setting, and that is with the pickup centered. That's where this bass really shines. Here's what that sounds like with the EQ centered. Yeah, that sounds really nice with both pickups engaged. That sounds really, really nice. Good PJ sound, aggressive PJ sound. Yeah, that's good. I really like this, especially with the treble cranked. Here's the treble at 100% boost and the mids and bass centered. Listen to that. Outside of the hum, that is very aggressive and mean and just very nice, very nice. Now I'm going to bring the treble back down to center and let's scoop the mids. Mids are full cut, bass and treble are at center. Okay, yeah, that sounds really nice as well with the mids cut. It makes it purr instead of growl. Very nice. Now with the mids cut, I'm going to cut the treble as well, and we're going to boost the bass to about 50%. See how smooth we can get it. Very nice. I am liking this bass and the different tones that it has been yielding. Now with the now I'm going to go back to my clanky tone. I'm going to have the bass and the mid centered, treble up all the way. Let's grab our pick one more time. It's really fun to like beat it with a pick. It just gets so angry. I like this. I like this bass a lot for a rock instrument, but it can also do other things. We saw it also has a sensitive side. Well, what a bass this is. For $700, I am actually pleasantly surprised, given how disappointing the Charvel San Dimas was out of the box with all that noise and the poor electronics job. It's nice to see a different Fender subsidiary succeed at an even smaller price point. $700 can definitely buy you a lot worse. Now, with the blend control centered, I'm going to go ahead and slap this bass, and then we'll play with the EQ a little bit and do it some more. Very nice. Real nice slap tone. Now let's scoop the mids, keep both pickups engaged, slap it once more. That was real nice as well. I'm gonna pan over to the neck pickup, bring the mids back, keep the EQ centered, slap one more time. And once more, let's scoop the mids, leaving the treble and the bass centered, slapping only on the P pickup. Now I will center the blend control one last time, center the preamp one last time, and let's go ahead and throw some drums behind this bass. So here are my final thoughts on the Jackson CBXNT DX4, whatever its name is, the Jackenbacker. I hastily judged this bass, and I'm sorry. This is an excellent bass. This is really nice. The flat fingerboard radius might not be for everyone, but outside of that, I think this is an overall very nice and very playable instrument. The upper fret access isn't so bad, however the 24 fret neck combined with this P pickup, which is a little bit more towards the neck, makes slapping a little bit of a challenge. I do wish maybe the P pickup was moved down a bit, or maybe they made 22 frets instead of 24, but that being said, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely not a deal breaker. These pickups sound really nice, especially paired with the stock preamp. You can get a lot of clank, but you can also get some smooth tones out of this instrument. The neck profile is very comfortable. Overall, the construction of the bass is nice. It sits nicely on your body. It's a very traditional shape, and there are no real hard edges. Like over here, this isn't really that hard of an edge compared to something like a Rickenbacker 4003, which has a bit of a harder edge, or something like a semi-hollow with a binding. Those are generally a bit harder on the 90-degree-ish angles, but this is not really going to dig into your arm as much, and I wouldn't call it uncomfortable. So overall, comfortable instrument, well balanced, sounds really nice, plays nice. Overall high quality hardware. I mean, it's a little bit on the ugly side, and it's clearly trying to look like a Rickenbacker with these shark fin inlays and this pick guard. It does not sound like a Rickenbacker, however, I think it sounds like what some people want a Rickenbacker to sound like in a certain scenario. Many people who buy a Rick want clank. That's what they're after, and this has a much more flexible and comprehensive electronics package versus a Rick, which is just a volume, tone setup. One volume and tone for each pickup. It's an old school setup. Rickenbacker really hasn't done too much change in regards to how their basses are built. I mean, they've changed pickup construction slightly. They've added a few small features here and there, but these basses are overall relatively unchanged since, the 60s or whatever. But this is kind of a fresh take on a Rickenbacker inspired instrument by Jackson, and I think they did a really good job. One other thing I forgot to mention is the stupid Ashtray cover that comes on this bass. I have to ding them for that because that thing dinged the bass. The corners of the Ashtray on either side of where it screws in dug into the finish, leaving 4 little indents, 2 on each side of the pickup. I really didn't want that. When I unscrewed this, I was kind of bummed out seeing those little indents, but, it is what it is. I'm bummed about that, and I wish that they did a better job attaching those to make sure that there was no damage to the finish underneath. Heck, I wish they just didn't include it. There is no functional use there. The real Rickenbacker bridge cover is attached to the whole pickup surround. This is just right into the paint, and I think it's kind of a low-effort attempt to copy the look a little bit more. I wish that wasn't included on the bass, and I hope future versions of this bass, if they continue to make them, don't have that. So what am I going to rate the Jackenbacker, the Jackson CBXNT DX4? I'm going to go ahead and rate this bass 4 claws out of 5. You can spend your money in worse ways for sure, and this is an overall very solid package. For $700, you get quite the rock instrument. You get quite the look with the shark fin inlays and the cool Rickenbacker inspired design that may be polarizing to some, but in person it grows on you a bit. It's nice. I can't fault it, and I don't want to be the person who's just going to be like, well, it's super ugly. I mean, looks are subjective, and I don't find it the ugliest thing in the world. We've played some ugly basses, and this overall is a decently attractive design. Rickenbackers may seem out of reach to some, especially newer players, and to be able to spend $700 and kind of get the vibe, especially if you are looking for a rock-style instrument, and to have a complete package that will deliver a nice rock package, that's a nice thing, and you really can't get that in a lot of places. I don't think people are going to be cross-shopping between an actual Rickenbacker and this Jackson, but for someone who's looking for a nice rock PJ bass that can get some real clank, but can also get some nice rounder tones, I think this bass is a very nice choice. Now, speaking of the tones, we are going to be modifying this bass to make it even rockier. We're going to be replacing these pickups with a set of EMG Geezer Butler pickups. We're also going to be shielding the cavities and installing a dark glass tone capsule preamp in place of the stock Jackson. Hopefully we're going to give this even more clank and some even fatter tone. But we'll do a full comparison between the stock bass and the modified bass, and you guys can decide if these mods are worth it. Hardware-wise, we're not going to touch it. I think that this is pretty well suited as is, and out of the box, I've definitely seen worse hardware for a $700 instrument, so overall, quite solid. Now, before we end, I just want to talk about my unboxing. I was pretty harsh on this instrument, and I have to say that after a full setup done by myself and a fresh set of strings, I'm impressed. This is a fun bass, and it's nice. Let me know what you guys thought of the tones, especially, in the comments down below, because I know I was impressed with the level of clank and growl that you could get out of an instrument like this. Very cool. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, join our Discord channel, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Jackson CBXNT DX4, also known as the Jackenbacker. And as always, until we groove again.